So we're dealing with the sword virtue. That's how we would refer to this.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that while it may seem like we're game designers or something, every piece of this is being shown to us. So we're completely blind in this process until something pops up and reveals itself as not only interesting, but significant and connected to everything we've already been shown.
Right.
So the Liberated Tarot, like the 64 Angels, is a revealed system. We received the idea, the concept, this whole stream of information that is the 64 Angels at the exact same time that we received the Liberated Tarot. And we've basically been scrambling to bring it all to life in a way that can be accessed and utilized ever since. So it's becoming more real for us by the day.
Yes.
And we just want to be clear that, we're not smart enough to do this ourselves. It's being given to us, and then we're turning it over as quickly as we possibly can and giving it to you. Recording these videos is a great big part of that. It's a major step that we just haven't been ready for until literally today. So in looking at the Liberated Tarot, what Laura has just described is a new categorical distinction. Instead of working with 4 suits, we're working with 4 sets of virtues: the swords, the wands, the hearts, and the diamonds. Virtues is a word that, again, we had to find. We didn't know what we were working with. We knew that it wasn't suits. We knew that it wasn't some kind of analytical, sterile, inert term, because whatever was happening here was alive, and whatever was happening here was inviting the awakening of something within us. It was real.
Yes.
And it was personal. Well, we found the word virtues. I'm sure at some point we'll talk a little more about the definition of virtue and how profound that moment was. But for now, understand that we're dealing with something living. The sword virtue, very interesting. In traditional tarot, swords are uniquely terrifying. If someone pulls a sword card, they're probably saying, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it definitely evokes mental worry or concern. Typically, swords has to do with the mental realm.
Correct.
And that is still true of the swords in the Liberated Tarot.
Yep. So thank you. That's exactly what I wanted to share next. The sword virtue now has, as you might imagine, just like the frequencies, been completely stripped of any even potential for bad news. There is nothing to be worried about, nothing to be afraid of. The swords as a category are so powerful. The Forgotten Sense refers to the single greatest power that we as human beings wield. It turns out that the capacity to focus our mind, to use our mind in specific ways, is the single greatest power that we have. And as we learn in the Forgotten Sense, the reason for this is that our way of perceiving of ourselves and the world actually directly contributes to the production of that world. We meet what we expect to meet in life. So the sword's virtue is all about how we're making use of the mind. It still connects to the mental realm, but what it's doing is it's inviting a conscious, intentional, deliberate utility of the mind. We're not trying to escape the mind. We're not trying to silence the mind. Rather, we're choosing to harness the power of the mind and aim it in a particular direction. This is why our words for the swords, were you going to say this?
Yes.
Share it.
That's why our words for the swords are focus and orientation.
Correct. The power of focus and how it's being used. How are you aiming your thoughts, your ideas? Is it constructive or not? In the Forgotten Sense, we refer to these 2 pathways as red or green. Red would be not constructive, and green would be very constructive. That's a tangent we could spend another day talking about. But for now, understand that the swords as a set of virtues are all inviting some very specific utility of mind, some very specific orientation of mind. The sword itself, the reason we chose to keep the word sword as the name of the virtue is because in Seer Training, we think in terms of the sword of light. We wield the sword of light to cut away that which is not equal to the truth and to proactively reclaim that which is. So when we meet the sword virtues, we're meeting that. We're meeting the ability to use our mind consciously and deliberately in order to organize ourselves in alignment with the truth, in alignment with that which brings to life, that which animates life. So when we meet a sword virtue like we do today, we're talking about how to use the mind effectively.
Yes.
So what is today's sword virtue?
Refinement.
Boom. Sword virtue of refinement. I love this one.
Me too.